May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, happy Friday, everybody. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz marketing talk. I'm Scott, your host, and a man who now probably thinks that Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, they may have had no business being together as a couple. And I mean, I root for love as much as anyone, but yikes. I had to write a blog post about that defamation case this week for a client, and I felt like I needed to shower immediately afterwards. That is not a good display of humanity happening right there. And with us somewhere out in the virtual producing world is producer Paul B. He's like TV's David Banner from The Incredible Hulk. He just wanders from town to town in search of a cure for his ailment, a cure that may never come. But hang in there, Paul. We're all rooting for you. We are. So who am I? What do I do? How do you reach me? I run a PR and marketing firm. It used to be in Orange County, California, now in Phoenix, and I'm a certified story brand guide. So I create brand stories, copy for my clients, of course, PR, and all the fun tactics of marketing that we get embroiled in. The hardest and most critical part of running a business is getting your marketing right. And you can either spend money on marketing without confidence it's being spent on the right things, or you can choose to pinpoint exactly what needs to change. I'm really excited to tell you about the Story Brand Marketing Report. It's a new online assessment that lets any small business owner understand where their marketing plan's falling short and what it should look like. So if you feel like you've been marketing your business without a playbook, and many do, you'll love this custom marketing report. Take the free assessment. You'll get your report back, and just email me at scott@robertsoncom, 2M's like communications.com, and I will send you the link. You will love it. You tuned into a great episode of the show today. I'm very excited to welcome to the show another warrior in the battle to save marketing's soul. Deb Gabor is with us today, and she has a tremendous passion for brands. She's written the book on branding twice, actually, with the bestsellers Branding is Sex and Irrational Loyalty. She's the founder and CEO of Soul Marketing, a strategy-led marketing firm obsessed with solving major business and branding problems for her clients in every industry. Deb and her team have introduced a revolutionary brand strategy to organizations like All Recipes, the Associated Press, Dell, Microsoft, NBC Universal, NPR, and Siemens, and even the emerging brands like Hint Water and Indigare. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the show, Deborah Gabor. Hey, Deb. How you doing today?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So Deb, I always like to start off, basically, how did you get to where you are now?
Oh gosh, that's such a loaded question because I know it's hard to believe and your listeners can't see me. I look like I'm 29 years old, but I've been at this for 30 plus years, if you can believe it. And I started out as a high-tech marketer. I worked in one of the most high-tech of all high-tech businesses, and that was Bell Labs. It doesn't get more high-tech than having Nobel Prize winning scientists wandering the halls than at Bell Labs. So started out there, ended up in, some early technology startups during the first go-go days of the technology industry, certainly a lot different than things are today. Moved to the agency side of the business, kind of at the same time I relocated out of cold, windy, blustery, and gray Chicago to sunny, hot, surface of the sun, hot Austin, Texas, almost 25 years ago now, and started my own business back in 2003, where I decided that it was really important for me to do important work for important clients. And I wanted to define what that was and also, create a world that was by my own design. And through that work over it's been 19 years that I've been running this company. I literally have worked with thousands of brands, mostly very, very large companies and mid-cap growth companies, mostly B2B organizations. And through that work, that was sort of my mad scientist's laboratory for developing what has become a very, very well-known, proven, time-tested works every time methodology and process for creating the condition of irrational loyalty. And that's been pretty well documented in a couple of best-selling books, Branding is Sex, Get Your Customer Laid and Sell the Hell Out of Anything, the follow-up, Irrational Loyalty. And then another book that's coming out probably by the end of the summer about authority and cultivating your own authority to ignite irrational loyalty. So that's sort of the story of my life and career. And as an entrepreneur, of course, those things are indelibly intertwined with one another.
Yeah, right on, right on. Well, I mean, awesome, awesome so far, right? And much more to go, I'm sure. So you and I were talking, marketing seems to be in a pretty bad place today. It seems to be, I don't know, 30-year veteran marketer talking to you here too as well. And I've never seen it so bad in my entire career. It is a mess. I mean, there's so many invasions of privacy going on. There are so many people running around that are digital marketers that don't know crap about marketing, that are purporting their expertise out as if they do know something about marketing, and they haven't been schooled. They don't have the experience. They just know how to like run a Facebook ad campaign, and that's the qualifications to be a digital marketer. However, that isn't true at all, and it misleads a lot of people. So I see the world, the marketing world, in a really bad place, making really bad choices on a daily basis. You and I were talking about that day. Where do you think we are? And and just, is there kind of a way back to kind of where we are?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was a great conversation. And I had been thinking about it for about the last week. This idea that marketing is this much maligned and unloved business practice these days was not created by anybody but marketers, and mostly bad marketers. And with this, I guess with this need, like this accelerating need to make everything measurable, we've turned human beings and their hearts and souls and minds into clicks and conversions and ones and zeros. And we've dehumanized the marketing process in many, many ways. And so true. It's bad for marketing. It's bad for business. It's bad for brands. And one of the things that we saw, and I cover this in Irrational Loyalty, if you go back to about 2014, 2015, there was this increased need among consumers. And when I say consumers, I'm talking consumers of everything, both consumer-facing things as well as the things that they buy for their businesses, because people buy things from humans. There was this increasing need and almost an imperative for brands to show up with a set of values and beliefs so that people could understand if their values and beliefs were aligned with the values and beliefs of the brands that they were purchasing. And what I'm talking about here is this alignment of values and beliefs. Human beings want to know and have a need to know now. And this was something that was happening. It was kind of a demographic shift that was happening with millennials and now Gen Zers and other people who are coming of age as purchase influencers. But there's this demand to see what's going on because people are paralyzed by choice, right? There are, in every category, there are so many things that people can buy, products and services that serve the same functional benefits, and human beings rarely have the faculties to discern what is functionally superior from one thing to another. When I went to business school, we learned the 4 Ps, right? Product, pricing, promotion, placement. And if you got all those things right, then you were okay. Sort of a dehumanized marketing process. But what we've learned is that people need to feel something to do something. There's actual brain science behind it. I know you're a story brand consultant, so you understand a lot about that. But there's this need to feel something, to do something. And when people are paralyzed by choice, when they're trying to choose between paper or plastic or turkey or chicken or Wonder Bread and the store brand, they actually need to be moved in an emotional way. You can't really do that if you take all of the human aspect of marketing out of marketing. And we've kind of lost track of what marketing really is and what it means. And so the pure definition of marketing is to create a market, which is to bring buyers and sellers together. Selling is doing transactions. And we've made marketing sort of substitute for selling in many ways with digital marketing, right? And we've made this act of creating a community of people who want to share in their love and support and advocacy of a brand. We've made that this completely inhuman transactional world.
Absolutely. Amen. And plus one to all that. It's refreshing to hear someone else saying it, because I feel like I say it a lot, and there's an army of a small army of us saying it, but there's a billion of them. I mean, I got to say. So how do you, let's just get this out of the way. I hear the term branding used a lot of different ways. Artists will say branding, that's the logo, that kind of thing. How do you define branding? And in your view, what makes a truly great brand?
That's an easy question for me to answer. So the best brands in the world create this condition that I call irrational loyalty. And what irrational loyalty is, it's the condition where people are so indelibly bonded to your brand that they'd feel like they were cheating on it if they were to choose an alternative. It's how I feel about my iPhone and all my iThingies. Quick story really illustrates this, and then I'll get into the nuts and bolts real quick of how those best brands in the world create that. So I guess 7 or 8 years ago, new iPhone was coming out, and it was getting ready to cross that $1,000 price point. And I thought, this is absolutely ludicrous that I'm going to spend this much money on a phone. Let me go see what else is out there. So I went to my local Best Buy, where I met an adorable sales associate who was very well educated on not just iPhones, but also the competing Samsung product. And it was a Samsung Galaxy S, whatever. I don't remember which model it was, but I remember that these two products, the iPhone and the Samsung Galaxy, were so virtually indistinguishable from each other. The two companies sued each other. I don't know if you remember this, but I thought, all right, let me just see what this is about, because it has a $400 less price point, and I should give it a look. So what I learned in my conversation with this adorable Best Buy salesperson was that the Samsung Galaxy S, whatever it was, had faster memory. It had more onboard storage. It had a bigger app ecosystem that was open, by the way. It also had more durable glass, which is important to a klutzy person like me. And it was readily available. I could walk home with it that day rather than waiting for the next product release in a lawn chair 24 hours before the store opens at Apple, right? And it was $400 less than the competing product. Yet, when I held that thing in my hand, this glorious lickable technology, it like gleamed in my hand, and it made that bling sound when I looked at it. I felt dirty. I felt like I was cheating on Apple. There's no discernible, functional, rational reason why I should feel that way. I just felt like I was a cheater. That condition is irrational loyalty. It's the reason why my $3,000 Gucci tote bag exists, because I can buy a tote bag at Walmart for like probably $18, which will carry the same volume of stuff, will fit on my shoulder just the same, but it doesn't have those interlocking G's on it. So irrational loyalty is the condition that allows you to charge a premium for your products and services. It's what makes a Tesla and not a Nissan Leaf or a Chevy Bolt, right? Functionally, they do the same things, right? It is the condition that allows you to earn higher degrees of loyalty. I've purchased every iThingy I think Apple has ever made with no discernible reason, right? And also green text bubbles. When somebody texts me from an Android, I get twitchy, right? Keeps me bonded to the brand. It helps your brand scale rapidly and profitably in a highly, highly focused way. And it helps you endure the most turbulent times. So that's irrational loyalty. And when I think of a brand, it is not your logo. It's not your color scheme. There's two kinds of branding: big B branding, which is what I'm talking about, which is strategic and foundational. And it's like the core DNA of the brand. It's the values and beliefs behind the brand. It's that relationship that you have with buyers, not just when they buy the product, but as they use the product and advocate for the product. And the best brands in the world, they do four things. They do four main things. First thing they do, they aim their brand at a singular, ideal, archetypal customer, one human being. They create an archetype of the customer, the human, who is most highly predictive of their success as a brand. And they double down on that. When I've seen brands scale rapidly and profitably, it's because they figured out who that was. They doubled down on that almost to the exclusion of everyone else. The second thing they do is they become part of their customer's identity. They become part of their self-image. They become part of the self-expression of the user. It says something about me that I use the iPhone. It says something about me that I drive a Mercedes-Benz. It says something about me that I wear Lululemon athleisure, right? It says I never go to the gym is what it actually says. The next thing they do is legendary brands are not just different. And so if you're taking notes, write this down. They're singular. The best brands in the world are truly singular, meaning they stand alone. Google is a singular brand. Anytime you have a brand that becomes a verb, just Google it. That's establishing singularity. Disney is a singular brand. There's no other brand that can occupy that conceptual space. Then the next thing they do, and this is where StoryBrand really comes in, is they make their customer the hero in the story. The brand is never the hero. It's all about inviting the customer into the experience of using the brand and elevating that person and helping them ascend to the highest of their potential, their heroics. So just to review real quick, irrational loyalty, the feeling that people would be cheating on your brand if they were to choose an alternative. Aim your brand at an ideal archetypal customer, one person, the best person, become part of who they are, become part of their identity. Imagine that every one of these ideal customers is wearing a t-shirt emblazoned with your brand name. You're singular, you're unique, you're not just different. It's not enough to be different, because if you have qualities that others can imitate it, believe me, they will. And then you make your customer the hero in their own story.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, one question that I have for you is, should small businesses engage in branding activities? And at what level do you think a company should shift from, marketing and move to, more branding type of activities? And I say that because one of my mentor, Don Miller, in the StoryBrand program, he says that a business that's less than $100 million has no business trying to do branding activities. I actually disagree with that, but I'm, and if he's listening, sorry, Don, he's also a Seattle Seahawks fan, and I disagree with the idea that he thinks his team is any good. They're not. They suck, Don. And just in case you're listening, just so you know. So
okay, well, let's hope he tunes into this, because I'm going to disagree with him too.
I'm sure he will. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So there's a difference between branding, big B branding, which is establishing the strategic foundation for your brand to create something that is going to propel your brand to scale, and branding activities. And so I want to be really clear that engaging in branding activities is sort of about driving people into the top of the funnel, right? Branding activities, like when you do branding activities, those are things like advertising. I believe, I used to be a PR person, back in the day before I started my own company. I believe that public relations, media relations, investor relations, AR, all of those things are part of driving consideration, are, really trying to reinforce the meaning of the brand, not just create an impression of the brand, but help people decide yes or no, and really, really build the attributes of the brand. It's an important activity. But at the top of the funnel, branding activities are like advertising. In some cases, it's going to be like top of the funnel type content. So discover and educate type content versus compare and buy type content. I think that, and I say this all the time, and I make my living working with businesses, a lot of them that are they're under $100 million in revenue. I spend a lot of my time working with those organizations to help them establish the foundation of their brand, uncover what is the core DNA of this organization, define, profile, identify, find, locate, and engage the customers who are most highly predictive of their success, so that they can become $100 million plus organizations, right? And so I believe that for small businesses, branding is, I say this, I think in Branding as Sex, I say branding is an always on activity. It's not like a one and done thing. Like your brand has to evolve with the needs of your consumer, or else you're going to end up in the brand graveyard. Like think about BlackBerry, which BlackBerry was a brand that was all about giving people the ability to stay connected to the office via email on the go, versus smartphone brands like iPhone, which were all about giving you access to the entire world of entertainment and engagement and connection. And you can see how much more highly extensible the brand position of iPhone is. Which brand is dead? It's BlackBerry. It's not iPhone. And so even the earliest stage companies, or if you're a solopreneur, you're a solo practitioner, it's just you're just doing your own thing, or you're establishing your own authority brand as a musician, as an artist, as a creator, as a writer, a speaker, an expert, a consultant, a coach, whatever. It is really, really important for you to establish that, because your brand is a magnet, and that magnet is designed to attract to it the people who are most aligned with your values and beliefs and who want to have access to the human qualities of the organization and the people or the person behind it. So it's
out.
Start now. And it's easy. Small business branding, it's easy.
Well, +1 on all that. I agree so much. All right, so let's shift gears for a second. So what's up with the brand dominatrix title or moniker? What's happening there?
Okay. Well, first of all, I will say that was not a title that I gave myself. Believe me, I never would have done that. And there's actually a really interesting story about kind of how I have evolved away from that. It's memorialized, unfortunately, with all of the branding of sex content, but a very talented and really funny creative director that I used to work with. I think we were getting ready to go into a big pitch, and everybody had those sort of funny vanity titles. The CEO of the company was the zookeeper, or like chief cook and bottle wash, and creative director, he was like the creative guru or creative Buddha or something like that. And as the resident brand strategist on the team, I didn't have one of those cute vanity titles. And it was like, oh girl, you are the brand dominatrix. So fast forward a couple of years, I write a book that has the word sex and laid in the title. And how could I be anything but the brand dominatrix? Now, the interesting thing is, like, that book came out in 2016, and I still give a lot of my speaking engagements wearing, short leather skirts, very, very high stiletto heels, sometimes in leather, or I'll wear leather pants and things like that to like really, just reinforce that, because what I say, branding of sex is a metaphor. Basically,
I do too, by the way. I wear the same outfit when I speak. It gets a different reaction. It's a different reaction to you than yours, probably.
People seem to like that. They like to see me in leather. The metaphor branding of sex, basically it all boils down to this. Like, if you don't listen to anything else that I have to say, and you want a shortcut to really figuring out, what is the power of your brand, just ask yourself this question: how does this brand get my customer laid? So anyway, that's where that came from. Fast forward a couple of years, as we started to see many, many women in the workplace come forward as the victims of sexual abuse and discrimination in the workplace, and the emergence of bro culture and workplaces where women were being subjected to negative attention and discrimination and, frankly, harm at the hands of men. I had a rethinking of this whole idea of being the brand dominatrix. And this is an example of like where your brand needs to, remain modern and authentic.
Sure.
I had a refocusing of that, because I thought, in some ways, I am inviting and normalizing the kind of negative attention that all of these women in workplaces everywhere are receiving in an unwanted and, frankly, harmful way. And I had a self-reckoning, and I've written and spoken extensively about this, including having given a TED-like talk to a huge audience of people about rethinking my own personal brand. And it was a moment of sort of self-reckoning and self-discovery.
Well, talk to me. Let's get to the idea of getting the customer laid. Many people, Seth Godin, Vaynerchuk, basically Don Miller, have equated branding to dating, right? But you take a little bit of a step further than that, right? So, kind of, please explain for the kids at home, when a man meets a woman and they share a very special kind of hug, anyway, like that. So,
thanks, Dad.
There you go. Just, explain it for the kids at home.
Yeah. Okay. So the dating analogy that other people use, I feel, doesn't take it far enough, because they're like, like you said, a man meets a woman, they share a very special kind of hug and all that kind of stuff. I look at it, I take it one step further. The idea, this really goes back to making the customer the hero in their own story. And so think about, Scott, the very, very best days that you have where you feel fully self-actualized. What would be a day like that for you?
Today Today is just, yeah, absolutely. Well, I certainly love when I'm playing music on stage.
Okay.
I'm never more my authentic, real self than when I'm in that moment, kind of rocking out to, 10 to 12 drunk, really drunk people in a
10
bar.
to 12.
Yeah. Like,
so you don't need a big audience.
Sometimes as many as a dozen. I'm saying I played as sold out, mainly because there's alcohol there, trashy bars. So yeah.
Got it. Okay. So when you feel like that, you're feeling fully self-actualized. You're at the top of your game. You're at your highest human potential. You're energized. You're kind of like levitating above anything else, right? You feel so great. Like you have the world on a string, or as I say, the world by the balls, right? You just, you're like, you're there, you're in the zone. Do you ever feel like you get on stage and then you have this exhilarating time and then you get off the stage? Do you ever feel like you just want to take a roll in the hay?
I've been married for almost 30 years. So you're going to have to define that a little bit more for me. What do you mean by that exactly?
Okay. Like you and your wife want to share a special kind of hug. If you want to use, your dad, a special kind of hug. What I mean here is, hopefully the people who are listening to the show have had a toe curling, mind blowing orgasm in their life, right? Like this incredible feeling where all reality is suspended. But also you've probably had those experiences where you just have that perfect day. You get to the office, the governor's spot right in front of the building is open. You pull right into it. On the way home, you make every traffic light. You get there, your partner, your spouse is there. They've got a cocktail ready for you. Dinner is on the table, right? The kids have already been washed and they're long in bed. You sit back, you settle down onto the couch, somebody slips an arm around the other. The next thing you know, you're making out. And then, you're ready to go take a roll in the hay. It's that feeling that you have before, during, and after that like toe curling, mind blowing orgasm. When your mind is free of everything else, that is a very, very elevated feeling. What I mean when I use the sex analogy is that people buy things, what they wear, what they eat, what they drink, what they drive, where they go on vacation, the music that they buy, the art that they buy is all part of elevating them up Maslow's hierarchy to get to this point that they feel that incredible self-actualization, right? The best brands in the world are the ones that help people up Maslow's hierarchy to get to this level of self-actualization. Fully self-actualized brands, they have to give people that feeling or move people towards the achievement of that feeling. So branding as sex is not about being sexy. It is about giving people the ability to have sex, or the ability to want to have sex. Like I said, it's a metaphor. Where the relationship thing applies is like, we are all in relationships with the brands that we use. And every time we and those brands behave on brand for our relationship, we each make a deposit into this emotional bank account that we share, right? That emotional bank account. So Scott, you and your spouse, you probably have this shared emotional bank account. As you behave on brand for your relationship, you give a little kiss, a little hug, a special kind of hug. You do the dishes without being asked. You don't do a shitty job of loading the dishwasher. The tines go up, by the way. When you leave your socks on the floor in front of the shower, and she steps out of the shower onto them with wet feet, she doesn't divorce you. This is the relationship at work. We have the same thing with brands. And when you've established a relationship with a brand that is always a positive balance that you share, when little things happen, like that product is not available for some reason, we've had a lot of supply chain issues, or maybe you're unable to use it, the location is closed or something like that, you're not going to immediately divorce your relationship with that brand and go seek out something else, because you've established irrational loyalty. Hopefully you are irrationally loyal to your spouse. I'm not married. I'm irrationally loyal to, I have many people in my life that I'm irrationally loyal to. My daughter is one of them. Boy, does she piss me off. But because, we share a mother and daughter love, and we strengthen that love that we have for each other every time we behave on brand for our relationship, that is what prevents me from throwing her out and telling her that she is never allowed to visit me here. for the rest of her life when she leaves a wet towel on the bed, which is my personal pet peeve.
I got to talk about the dishwasher thing for a second, because when you mentioned it to me like a week ago, and I've been thinking about it ever since. And so what happens if you turn the forks down the other way? Does it hurt? Does it harm the dishwasher, or is it just like, it's just not right? It's just like a not right thing.
In my mind, it's just not right. But I'm also one of those people who puts the toilet paper on the roll with the toilet paper going like a waterfall.
Yes.
But here's the reason for the tines going up in the dishwasher. So I don't know about your dishwasher. My dishwasher has like one of those plastic baskets. And when the tines are going down, sometimes the tines poke through in between the lines of the basket. And what happens is if the forks get jostled around, sometimes the tines will bend if it's an especially delicate fork. The other thing that can happen is when it points down through there, when you're trying to pull the dishwasher out, like the rack out on the wheels, they'll get hung up on little parts of the door. And also it just looks better when the tines are pointing up. There's no rational reason.
I like it. I learned new things, but ever since you said that and you were like the tines pointed up, and I kind of went along with it. And then like next time I was loading the dishwasher, I was like, so and I kind of did it both ways, in the dishwasher. You should see me in there. And I was kind of
get stuck in there.
So, right. I was like, so I guess, okay, all right, cool. I got to say, until you mentioned that's the first and only time in my life I've ever considered the direction of the forks in the dishwasher. But now I'm cognizant of it, and I have I'm like, it does make some logical sense, right? That you would point those suckers up. I tell you, I learned new things. I learned new things from you, Deb. That's a good one. So now my dishwasher will forever be, protected against the.
Well, one of my mentors has always said this, that we should approach life in a Shoshin manner, which Shoshin means to be with a beginner's mindset. And so I am constantly learning. Like today I learned about the special kind of hug that a man and woman share when they really, really like each other. And I'm interested in following that thread a little bit and learning more about that. But that Shoshin mindset, it applies to marketing too, right? To continue to do the same things will result in you having the same results, right? When you do things the way they've always been done, the same things will always happen. And you and I, hopefully we are not the only ones who are on the crusade to humanize marketing. And my suggestion is to begin the humanization of marketing by really tapping into the human attributes and characteristics of a brand through the act of branding. Hopefully we're not the only ones who are out there crusading for this. But branding is one of the primary ways to humanize the relationship that you have with your customers.
Let me give you an example. On LinkedIn today, one of the digital marketer, and he's a friend of mine, and he posted this survey about how email marketing is great, and it does fantastic. It has this great return on investment. And I jumped in and I said, good email is a return on investment, but most of the email that I get is garbage. And like I got an email from a fast food restaurant a couple of months ago that said, "We miss you," and I said, "That's what you got. That's where we're at message wise. Is we miss you." First of all, it's creepy. It's super creepy. It's like we're following you. We know you haven't been in here. We miss you. And the second part is, it's like, we don't have that kind of relationship. I stop by on the way, whatever. I get a hamburger.
That's like getting a dick
fries.
pic on Tinder, right? It's really
too
gross.
Soon. It's too soon. And so it's like, and I think marketing automation does this too, by the way. I think that people have to plug in all these bullets into a gun that's marketing automation, and they run out of things to say. And so they just say anything, and it's just a bunch of crap. And I actually emailed that company back and I said, look, it looks like you need help writing copy for your marketing. I go, this is crap.
Did you get them as a client?
Absolute. No, I didn't. But I said, this is garbage. I said, whoever authorized this to go out needs to rethink their career choice. I go, this is horrific crap that you just fill my inbox with. I said, and I'm not going to unsubscribe to you today, but do better. because I'm watching. And the next time that you send me, we miss you, your ass is a freaking memory. You are gone from my life. And there is zero chance you will return. So it's like,
wow.
And I don't think that people understand that every time you hit send on an email, you run the risk of destroying the relationship. And the relationship is the freaking game. That is what we are going after, right? I learned that when I was director of marketing at NAM, National Association of Music Merchants. I interviewed outgoing members that decided to discontinue their relationship with the association. And I asked them and they said, oh yeah, I'm just too busy or whatever. They'll always give you some sort of bullshit response first. But then I said, what's the real reason? I said, bullshit aside, why did you really leave? And people will give you the real answer if you ask them about 3 to 4 times directly, I found. And people would say, you guys are just too needy. You guys you send too much stuff out. I can't maintain the level of relationship that you want to maintain with me because I'm really busy. I'm a retailer, that kind of thing. And so I sat in my office, kind of with my head down, and I was like, our communications is the reason we're losing people. The very thing that we designed to build relationships is destroying them. I said, our sword is cutting the wrong way. And I went to the board that year and I said, I want to cut the marketing budget in half for this organization. And everybody kind of like spat out their water because nobody's ever said that in a board meeting before. And I said, we aren't doing ourselves any favors. We're not doing the audience any favors. We're making a big mistake. We do too much and we do it badly and we don't make this about them and we've got to shift gears. We're losing people. And, and it became really clear to me. It wasn't clear to me until that exercise. I was always one of these people that was like, well, if one email is great, then 10 must be that much better. And I am here to tell you, the world, everybody else, it is not. You are at risk every time you hit send. And we need, as a profession, we need to start, regarding that with some reverence, or it's going to be over for us.
Yeah, there's a psychological theory that has been around probably since the beginning of modern psychology called the Norm of Reciprocity. And the Norm of Reciprocity, there's 3 kinds of reciprocity. There's generalized reciprocity, there is balanced reciprocity, and then there's something called negative reciprocity. Basically, just to put it in a nutshell, we feel indebted to people who help us. We just feel naturally indebted. The original experiment on this was back in 1977. The psychologist who really coined this phrase, the norm of reciprocity, did an experiment where he asked people all over the world, strangers, he asked them to send him postcards. Like, he sent out Christmas cards to like 500 random people and then just asked them to send in postcards. He didn't know them. He had never met them, but he had done something nice for them. He sent them a Christmas card that was basically, happy holidays. And I hope that you have a joyous new year. And, it just like having you as part of the community, even though I don't know you. Would you do me the favor of, when you travel, would you please send me a postcard? And he got thousands of postcards in return. That is what we call generalized reciprocity. People want to help other people. They want to lean forward. If you give something to them, they feel like a natural psychological inclination to reciprocate, right? Balanced reciprocity is when, Scott, you give me something of value, which is you give me the opportunity to read. You just told me at the beginning of the show that you have a new report that's out, right? And you're like, write to me. I'll give you this report for free. You're gonna love it. You're giving me something of value, and I perceive it's of value because you're giving to me as a member of your community. Then when you come to me and you're like, I want a little bit more information from you, I am more willing to give to you, which is called balanced reciprocity, right? Which is I give to you like a ratio of about 4 to 1. And then I ask you for something, but I'm not asking you for something that the ask is like far beyond the give. The last kind of reciprocity is what is killing marketing today. And that is negative reciprocity, which is I'm going to put all of my terrific content behind a gate that you have to fill out a 14-point interview that feels like an FBI interrogation before I give you access to this report. And you know what? You know this after you give me this information in exchange for this vital toolkit that I want to give you, you know that I'm going to spam the shit out of you. That is negative reciprocity. And negative reciprocity is killing marketing. It's killing email. It's killing relationships. It's killing brands. So the contrast to that crappy email that you received from Carl's Jr. or whoever the heck that was, the antithesis to that is an email that I received right at the start of the pandemic. So I am a very, very avid skier. I literally ski over 100 days a season. And when my season ended in the middle of March 2020, at the height of, premier snowfall, my heart was broken. Mm-hmm. And a little ski shop in Southern Colorado, where I had once bought one piece of gear, like maybe something under $200, they sent me the best email I had ever received, which was what they had in that email was, we're sad our season has ended, but it's not completely over. There are still ways for you to get outside. Here's some information about how to get started in ski touring. Here's how to get the right kind of setup. Here's where you can get avalanche training. Here's where you can learn how to use your beacon. Here's the right kind of gear. And it was a very subtle message. Oh, by the way, we sell that gear. Additionally, they sent me a YouTube playlist that was called #ski-porn, which was like, you can't get outside right now. You don't live in the mountains. You can't engage in ski touring. You can't climb up the mountain. You can't climb or skin up the mountain and ski down by yourself. Well, you know what? You can live vicariously through some of the best lines ever skied in the world. And we've curated this playlist for you. I was deeply indebted to that brand because they gave to me. And then when it was time for me to buy some new skis at the beginning of the season, because like any avid skier, like I have a whole quiver, and I had to buy some new ones for certain kinds of conditions. They were the first place that I talked to. And so that's the difference between giving, which is generalized reciprocity. They gave to me, I gave to them. They only subtly suggested that they would be there when I needed them. And I remembered them because whenever I get anything from them, every once in a while, I get like a sale or a promotional email or something like that. I am so much more willing to let that come into and live in my inbox because they gave me ski porn, because they gave me backcountry guides, because they gave me a listing of here's all of the online avalanche training classes you can go to. They just gave to me. And so there is a right way to use digital marketing to establish authority and ignite irrational loyalty. And there's a wrong way. I don't think digital marketing is dead, but digital marketing being done by these hacks who are like that fast food restaurant that was like, we miss you, Scott. And it's so gross. It like gives me the willies. There's a huge difference there. And those are the people. Negative reciprocity is killing marketing. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk.
No, I love it. I love it. So we're just about done here, but this has been fantastic, Deb. I love it. And we are two threads in the same stitch. I love it, which is actually, that's something the Joker said to Batman. So it's like, that's two mentally disturbed people talking to each other. But so how should people contact you?
Yes, people can contact me. The best way to get me is through my website, debgabor.com. Easy. And on that website, in the spirit of balanced reciprocity, there are lots of free resources for you. If you want to go through some brand exercises and do them on your own, I have interactive exercises that you can download. There is the brand values pyramid exercise, which helps you figure out how to get to the top of your brand's Maslow's hierarchy, the 3 brand questions. That exercise, we have the ideal customer exercise, very, very, very popular exercise where you draw a picture of your most ideal archetypal customer. We have a Stockdale paradox exercise, the brand manifesto exercise. All of those, I provide them for free for you. And all I'm asking for in return, I'm giving to you 4x the value of you. Give me your email address, then you'll be added to a newsletter feed every other week. coming out with interesting information for you about the world of branding and marketing. And you can become part of my community, which I consistently give to. I'm always giving things away for free. You can download chapters of my books. You can watch videos. You can download all those resources. So I give the methodology away for free to anybody who wants it. The methodology that I'm giving you and all of those resources are the same things that my team at Soul Marketing uses with some of the biggest, best known brands in the world.
Awesome. And you guys out there, you should get that newsletter. Deb's one of the good ones, folks. We need more like her. We need a lot more like her, actually, in the marketing world. So what have we learned today? We all need a cold shower now to finish off our day, because we've talked about the principles of sexual attraction and brand attraction together. But obviously these things are very related, and these things can be used to build very powerful brands. We've learned so much today. Make sure you pick up Deb's books and follow her on all of her social media channels. Deb, thanks so much. That was so much fun. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. It was super fun.
Cool. Hey, that's it from me, kids. We will see you the next time on May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Media.